There are a lot of people in Gaza who are very fearful tonight, worried about their own safety. And one of the things they wonder is if and when there'll be a ground invasion. What do you say to them?
I understand their concern, and I want to say to them that they are not the target. The civilian population in Gaza, unfortunately, is being held by a ruthless terror organization that is cynically abusing them. They're using civilian houses as human shields. They're using the civilians in order to cover for their military operations, and they constantly, systematically violate international law by firing and conducting military activity from houses, hospitals, schools, and mosques. Now, these people, the civilians, are in a very difficult situation. I understand that, and we appreciate that in the IDF. But our message is that they are not the target, and showing that what we've done is told our plans. We have advertised our next military step, which is to enhance operations in Gaza City, which is something that a military doesn't usually do because it defeats the advantage of having a surprise on your enemy. We have done that because we don't want civilians to be in harm's way. And I think that is the testament to the fact that we are indeed focused on the military objective of our war. We are not looking to strike civilians. And as frightening and discomforting and very inconvenient that this situation is for people in Gaza, they are not the target. If they were the target, the situation would be totally different, and they are not.
I hope I can get two more questions in our limited time. The first one is, sure, Israel said you got to move from the north to the south of Gaza, but international organizations, including the UN, are saying that is unrealistic, that there hasn't been enough time for people to make that move, and that is, you're putting them in a dangerous situation. Have you given people in Gaza enough time to evacuate the north?
I actually think that we have. We're trying to do the right thing here. We have given them an advance warning in written form, in leaflets, by calling them, by issuing it through the UN, and by saying it over the media, social media, all of that in Arabic, all of it clear, all of it accessible and clearly understood, telling them where they are, what they need to do, go south, where they need to be of the river, which is a clear geographical boundary, which is easily identifiable, and we have given them time to do it. And listen, our aim is not to kill civilians, and we will start or commence our significant military activities once we deem that the situation is tenable in terms of the presence of civilians. And that's why I think it's so tragic that Hamas has prohibited and has actively tried to stop the civilians from evacuating themselves more to the south. And I think that the criticism should be focused on them, not on what we are trying to do to minimize civilian casualties.
But as I speak to you, you talk about minimizing civilian casualties. There have been heartbreaking stories of civilians being killed in Israel, of course, but in Gaza as well. I want to quickly read you a statement from the International Committee of the Red Cross. Nothing can justify the horrific attacks Israel has suffered. Our hearts go out to the people who lost family members or who are worried sick about those taken hostage. But those attacks cannot in turn justify the limitless destruction of Gaza. It goes on, but you know the point that the Red Cross is making. And the wider point is civilians are dying in Gaza, and Israel Defense Forces are responsible for those deaths. And how can that be justified?
Actually, those responsible are Hamas. And I'd like to ask if the same statement of the Red Cross says that the Red Cross will immediately and demands to get access to the hostages, the civilian hostages that Hamas is holding. Does it say that the Red Cross is committed to facilitating their safe return to Israel since they were abducted into Gaza by these vile terrorists? I don't think it does. And I think that is a blatant shortcoming. And I think that is a total misfocus of that organization on the situation. It's nice to have lip service and say that we are compassionate to the losses suffered in Israel, but I think they should be focused on on our issues as well. Sure, civilians are at risk in Gaza. They are not the aim of our military operation. What we are aiming to do is to dismantle Hamas from its military capabilities. That's what we are focused on. It is not about the civilian population. We can, as much as possible, we will try to have civilians out of harm's way. We're doing our best, and we are really trying to do the correct thing here, the right thing, in a difficult situation that we find ourselves in, a war that we did not start, that we didn't want, that was forced upon us, where we are defending ourselves and our population against the most vile attacks that any Western country has seen in, I don't know, since the Second World War.
But we have just less than 30 seconds, but I need to ask you this. For that mother that we just heard from, who is not a member of Hamas, who worries about the safety of her children tonight, in a short answer, what do you say to her?
Please heed the warnings that the IDF has given. Stay clear as much as you can of Hamas terrorists and their infrastructure, and go south of the Gaza River. Find a place to be there amongst friends, families, or any institution, and go back to northern Gaza only when we say it's safe.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.